Welcome to this week's Oris watch review where we cover the diver range, and I think Oris's true strong point is its range of divers, the depth of the range and the differences and the level of difference between them. There's something for everybody in the Oris diver range. To our technical man Warren, give us a rundown on it.
Okay, so the Meister Tosha, the newest one, 49mm. Now it comes across as being a very large watch, but because of the shape of the case and that, I think it's still quite wearable. It's taken me a little while to warm to the new design, with the design of the hands and that, which I found at first probably not quite so prominent as the older model. You know, it's extremely readable, quite wearable, and not very heavy, you know, being titanium.
Orange is the new black, isn't it?
It pretty much is, you know.
It is. I mean,
they've gotten up to it this year.
Yeah. The orange highlights really do stand out, accentuated very much by the wave dial. It looks smart. It looks good. What do you think of its luminosity?
The luminosity, I think, is excellent. Every part of that dial just beamed at you.
So back in relation to the Oris regulator, how does it compare in terms of width? With just a base model, 300-metre diver day.
Well, the base model is only 12.5mm thick. Your small second, 16.5mm, and then you go right up to the most.
The Meister Tosha.
That one,
yeah,
is 17mm thick. So they're getting up there. They're getting pretty chunky.
Rumour is of some bigger watches to come in 2009.
How much bigger can you go?
I think they're going to test it, and I look forward to seeing it. Warren, what's the movement used on this?
You're talking about the regulator?
On the regulator.
Okay, well the regulator is the 649 movement, which is the equivalent ETA 2836/2, 27 joules and a 38-hour reserve.
Very robust movement.
It is. You know, they've pretty much proven themselves quite well.
The one that's proved more popular still has been the small seconds. Again, the orange highlights in stainless steel and rubber strap.
Stainless steel comes in at 250 grams, and when you put it on the rubber, actually it comes back to 185.
The maintenance pros and cons of stainless steel versus titanium.
Well, there's actually been a bit of discussion about that on the forum in the last couple of days, and there is a bit of a belief that titanium will mark up easier. It's really just the oxidised coating that develops on the top that will gather the scratches a little easier, but then that will re-oxidise over time and sort of heal itself in a way. But on the plus side too, it is actually fairly easy to get a new looking finish on it.
Smitty, from an industrial design point of view, what have they done well and what have they done poorly on this?
On the small second, the dial is very clear. It's great to read, which is important when you're diving. You know, it's a critical aspect. Is just the functionality of being able to grip the unidirectional bezel and the crown. So it's easy. The tactile ability underwater is very important as well. 1,000
metre versus 300 metre. Would they lose too much by reducing the water resistance rating to 300 metre?
But also, by dropping this watch back to a 300 metre, what they're looking for a point of difference in their product. It's a product placement. They've decided to put this at 1,000 metre. They could, I'm sure, with a different movement and different materials, drop it back to 300, no troubles. But how does that differentiate itself from the other 300 metre divers in the range?
The black dial, the blue dial, they've incorporated obviously a wave dial, and both going back a number of years now. But between both watches, you're actually seeing a real evolution there, aren't you?
Yeah.
A real evolution in design.
Bringing the brand name right up to the side of the watch. That improves brand identity, which is a critical point in trying to get your product out there and promote it. People it can read that easier, and I think it gives a sporty edge to it. I reckon it's great.
Question to both of you. How can they improve these watches down the track?
With the orange highlights. A point where they can now, because of the success of it, that they can look at other colours as well, that can again differentiate themselves. Very easy to identify a new product in the range.
Well, of course, the orange is there because it is highly visible underwater.
What would make him consider the original black and blue dial diver, the 300 metre diver, as opposed to really pushing the envelope up to a 1,000 metre diver or a 2,000 metre diver? At what point, or why would you purchase a black or a blue diver?
My primary thought on all of that is price. The 300 metre diver day is a superb price point. You're doubling your price going up to these watches. Also, the other critical issue, as I mentioned, wrist size. You know,
wearability.
This is the absolute top that I could wear. It's so if you don't have, if you've got smaller than 7.5 inch wrist, the 300s where you're going to top out at.
My preference still, I must say, for all the divers that there are, and I wear a Carlos Costi LE, my preference is still back to the blue dial and the black dial. Simple, functional, exceptionally robust 300 metre dates. Again, you're right. The price point is unbeatable.
Yeah,
in relation to in the market, unbeatable. Quality of finish, quality of finish, bracelet, skeleton back. They really broke some benchmarks in the production of these watches.
Really, and also skeleton back in a diver is a little unusual, you know.
Absolutely.
So if you love your skeleton backs and you love your divers, it's just an obvious choice.
You know,
The GMT really crosses that boundary between a sports and dress watch. I find.
Absolutely.
It is for the person who really doesn't need a diver, but wants something that has a good water resistance rating on it. Looks good on a suit, looks good with a pair of shorts and at the beach. Is the helium release valve.
Okay.
Where does that come into play?
The only time you would ever use a helium release valve is if you were doing deep sea diving in a diving bell and having to breathe a mixture of helium.
I do that regularly.
Absolutely, that's why you got a funny voice. The helium release valve is actually never to be used in water. It is only ever to be used in the atmosphere of a diving bell.
Do you push your chronograph buttons underwater?
No, you don't.
The entire range, I don't think there's a bad watch within the range, the Oris diver range. It's uncomparable value. Have a good look at them. Next week, we're going to look at dress watches and maybe just a few hints of what's coming up in Basel. Until next week, take care.